Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey everyone, it's another 90 Day Fiance recap chat. 90 Day Fiance is a reality show that follows couples, one from the US, the other from another country within that couple, and we get to see their relationship issues. We get to see the ups and downs of couples that are long distance, cultural barriers, language boundaries, trying to marry in another country, all of the legal ramifications to get that K1 visa. This is 90 Day Fiance. Now let's start out with Shekinah and Sarper. Last time, Shekinah's daughter Sophie agrees to meet Sarper. Sarper has this whole bad boy image that he's trying to wipe away, at least to impress Shekinah's family now that he's in the US and they're going through this process, this 90-day process to hopefully marry at the end of the 90 days. So before they go meet Sophie, Sarper's doing a stand-up routine. He said this was his dream. Had no idea this was his dream. Anyway, some of the jokes I heard, it wasn't bad, but she had no reaction. And that made him feel some type of way. But he's like, she's just preparing me to actually go out and try this and possibly have no reaction from the actual audience. Shekinah says he's funny, but he's more funny when he's not trying. Sarper's like, I'm going to be a good father figure. I'm going to get this blanket for Sophie because we're going to go whale watching. I've never seen a whale before. So as they meet up, the first time he tells her she's pretty and not in a creepy way. It was a nice way. She really just wants him to treat her mom with respect. And she tells us that before they actually meet face to face. To me, the girl is smarter than them. She has a lot of smart things to say. Kind of reminds me of other kids, of some of these people that get together. Anyway, when they get on the boat, they actually go outside to the deck area. It's windy. The water just completely splashes them out of nowhere. They're freaked out. They're cold now. And I'm like, where's this blanket, Sarper, that you had? Then there's so much boat turbulence that they end up all getting boat sick, and Sarper heaves into a bag. So he's like, this is not the first impression I wanted to make on her daughter. He said, don't let me plan anything again. Shekinah's like, you can add this to your stand-up act. I'm not sure. He apologizes, and then he also goes on to apologize about the way he treated her aunt, Sophie's aunt, who was Shekinah's sister, and the type of mindset he had at that time. He's a different person now. And Sophie says she respects that he apologized and he's being real and upfront with her. And she wants them to know, okay, let's have a fresh start. Let's start over as far as our mindsets of the type of person you are, from what I know about you. Okay, you can have a fresh start, but you have to prove yourself to the family and all of that. And he said, well, I'm going to do my best. She says, you guys need to use all these 90 days up completely and make good use of it. She is open to seeing if he is the person that he's saying he is, if he's a changed man. But she knows that she needs more time and they need all the time they can get. Another instance where the kids teach the parents a lesson, and this has happened multiple times on this franchise. Steve and Maddie, they meet with some of Stevie's friends. Megan and Adam, they actually helped her get the ticket to go meet Maddie in his country. So they're going glass blowing. Maddie's a little bit afraid of all of this heat from this furnace, the whole glass blowing thing. And then the glass blower guy says, blow into this. So that was kind of weird, and he's a germaphobe. So he's putting his mouth on this metal thing that who knows who touched it. And the guy makes a joke saying we cleaned it last year. So her friend says, tell me about the wedding and all the details. And they're both kind of stiff-lipped about it and hesitant, kind of like their whole relationship anyway, right? And she's like, come on, bestie, tell me what's going on. So they go to the gift shop, just the girls, while they leave Maddie talking with Megan's husband, Adam. And she's like, well, basically, what's up with Maddie? And, that she talks about the different doubts and things that he's been showing, his homesickness, wanting to go back. And basically they got issues and unsureties. And then Adam, that's Megan's husband, talks to Maddie saying how things been, and Maddie says, I admit I'm homesick and all of this stuff. And he says, well, just be 100 and transparent about what you're feeling. He's like, well, I have been, and I kind of getting pushed back by being honest with her. Well, he's like, well, you need to make her feel comfortable, make her feel like you're really in this. It's okay to share your feelings, but you really got to make her feel like you want her, you want this, make her feel like she's important and this is special. All the things he says. I mean, I'm not saying it word for word, but yeah, make her feel like you care and you really want this relationship, basically, and you want this marriage. So back to Stevie and Megan in the gift shop. She says she wants to cry, but she's not going to cry. And she's like, I can't be in a relationship if this person's not going to get 100. And I'm like, yeah, 100, 100. We know about the 50-50. Yeah, you need 100, 100. And her friend's like, I'm 1,000% with you. So hundreds and thousands are numbers that are thrown around, but there's still questions as to, is this relationship going to work? So next time we see them, Stevie's dad invites Maddie to a monster truck show. So he goes out with the dad solo. And he's like, hey, Dad. And the dad makes a joke about, don't think I've been with any Iranian women. Of course, he has to make a dumb joke. All right, anyway, the plan is for him is to repropose, and he wants the dad's permission. But right now, we're at the monster truck show. Dad doesn't know this yet. He sees all the hot dogs, the flags, the loudness. He's like, this is so America. And he feels like an imposter in the middle of this all-American situation. They stand up for the national anthem. And he's like, well, I'm not sure why everybody's excited about this song, but he stands up as well. And he ends up having to ask the dad, what is it? And he explains to him it's the national anthem. It did look like it was a fun time. Maddie records some things on his phone. It's really loud. They're both wearing earplugs, but I guess they can still hear each other speak. To Maddie's like, I was expecting some more stuff. I mean, the cars were cool. I was expecting maybe some better tricks, maybe some other things to see here, but I guess if I was like 60, I'd go with something like this. Okay, I've never been to a monster truck show, so I have nothing against his comments. So as they leave the monster truck show, Maddie basically asks for Stevie's hand. And the dad's like, it means a lot to me. Let me back up. Sorry about that. Actually, they leave the show, and Maddie's like, well, it means a lot to me that you took me out. I don't really have any family, so it feels good to have somebody, care and take me out and do stuff with me. And then that's when he asked for Stevie's hand. He says that, he asked her in Iran, but things, the way it was a different type of tradition, and it didn't work out, exactly the way that we'd hoped. But he did what he did. So he's basically at this time asking for his blessing and permission to marry his daughter, and he shows him the ring and everything. He's like, well, when? And he's like, well, we're going to do it soon. I don't know when. And he's like, well, how many times have you guys been actually together in this whole time? He's like, well, a week in Iran or like 2 weeks in America. So he's like, well, that's not really a lot of time. And then he expresses his thoughts on the other side of the camera, of course, when he's not in front of Maddie, about he knows that he's kind of falling out of the commitment, and he keeps thinking about going back, and he's not going to be supporting that type of relationship or his daughter being treated that way. He knows he's been having second thoughts and all of that. So he does say, if you are feeling some type of way, you can't just really back out of things when it gets hard. You're gonna be married to this person. You can't have second thoughts about this. You have to really do this and, be all in, basically, which is what Stevie wants 100%. He's like, well, I have good intentions, and I'm going to do the best and do right by your daughter, and I promise that I'll be there for her forever. He says all the good things. So, Dad says, you better be sure about the situation and be sure that you're all in. But he says he's glad that he asked for his daughter's hand, and they shake hands. And I was like, okay, is that a yes? I really didn't hear a resounding yes, but I'm assuming it was like, okay, you can ask her. But he said, I'm gonna keep my eyes on you. It was the last thing he said, and they shook hands. So I was like, is that okay? You can ask my daughter's hand. I totally get it because it's kind of a weird scenario and more time needs to be had, but it looks like Dad is like, you can at least ask her and let's go from there. Ani, Amani, and Matt. Well, Ani slept on the couch last night because they just weren't feeling her vibes last night. And it was funny because the first thing we see, Matt is actually checking in on his wife. He hugs his wife, seeing if she's okay. And while they're in bed, well, he was out of the bed, and I guess he went back to check on her, which was weird because most of the time I see all the shots, he's hugging up on Ani. So I'm like, this is the first time he's checking on his wife. It's a good sign. While Ani's on the couch looking funny. Anyway, last night's argument was still fresh in their minds. Matt's like, I'm gonna go get breakfast. Ani's talking about off to the side, not in front of them, that basically it's been an explosion, that she's an explosion, and she doesn't know how they're gonna have a relationship with somebody exploding all the time. So the actual married couple actually goes off to breakfast themselves and say, we'll bring you some food back. So they go to breakfast and talk. They kind of eat silently at first. And I was like, well, I thought you guys were just going to pick up the breakfast. You guys are basically going to sit there and eat breakfast without Ani. Why, that's rude. Anyway, she says, well, everything that happened last night, we were arguing, why didn't you say anything? And he's like, this whole situation, as far as Ani, is kind of crazy. And she's like, well, do you even love Ani? Do you care about her? She's like, oh, I care about her, but this whole thing is ridiculous. She's not even telling people about us and our relationship or taking us serious. And all Matt really sees is that she's lying. He said, well, she was crying and like remorseful. He's like, no, she just caught tears. She didn't have real tears of remorse. She just got tears from getting caught. These are caught tears, not tears of pain, basically. So I think he read that right. He said, she's like, well, if you don't really love her, basically, what is the point of this whole scenario? He's like, well, to be blunt, it's hard for me to be in this scenario when my wife is hurting. This doesn't seem like it's good for us. Duh, you guys should have never started this. You came in very ill prepared, not knowing what you were doing. You told us all that you didn't know what you were doing. I think most people wouldn't know what they were doing in this scenario anyway. But Amani says there's a lot to lose. And I think Matt says something like, she's not like us. A lot of people aren't like you guys generally, whatever you guys are trying to do. They seem to resolve it. I feel like at the end of that meeting, Matt is like, he's very ready to discard her if this doesn't work out. I felt like when she questioned him, that whatever he said, it was gonna be a lose situation. But I feel like she heard him out. And to see, I think he's 36 and Ani's 37 and Amani's only 30. To just see the age difference there, not to say 30 is super young, but in this scenario, I didn't realize how young she was. She just turned 30, so she just got into the 30s club. But anyway, their whole scenario to me seems very youthful, very dreamlike. Is this something that really can work, or is it a fantasy, I'll say? So when they return to the room to talk, and Ani's like, she doesn't want to fight. Can we just relax? You have to talk slow. You can't just be so loud and fighting. We have kids involved. You need to calm down so we can have a good life together. And they were saying, well, basically, you can't just keep us as a secret. I put everything on the line. We put everything on the line for you. And she's like, well, I swear I'll tell my family everything. I still just need time. And Matt's like, well, how much time? we don't need to come in a situation with a lie. We don't walk into this and start lying to people. And basically, Ani needs to step up. So Ani's acting like she's gonna step up and goes and hugs Amani. They have a little hug moment there. And then Matt comes over there, but I don't think he's that quick to hug. But I guess they all have their little three-way hug or whatever. And they kind of make up for the moment. And she's like, Amani's like, what'll make me happy? What about a quickie? Sure, Amani, you weren't even comfortable the first night that you guys were together. You weren't even in that. So now you want a quickie? Uh, I don't know. Amani doesn't know what she wants either. And my question is, who really wants this? I feel like Amani wants this so hard. Matt is just going along for the ride. And Ani is kind of playing games. Amani's the one that seems like she needs this scenario. I mean, does she has mommy issues? Like, I'm just wondering, what is her background to where she needs this woman in her life, even if she's such a messy woman? And it's kind of, I'm getting the appearance that it's hard for them to find people that are up for this type of scenario. So it's like, we're kind of taking what we can get because everybody's not up for this, and rightly so. Greg and Joan didn't have a lot going on this time. They're out in the park practicing lunges. Greg struggles. Not a big surprise. He was really having a lot of balance issues. And Joan's like, I gained a lot of weight and I really need to have me this nice, tight, revealing wedding dress. I don't want to look like I'm wearing a tent, so I'm going to lose weight. She's a small girl anyway. But, Greg says she looks good when she's gaining the weight. Her backside looks great, so you know how men are anyway. But she's like, no, I want to be in shape. In the area she lives in, there's a lot of mountains. People trek through those mountains. That kind of keeps them in shape as well. And Greg's like, well, I'm up to going to do this at the park 2 to 3 times a week if you want, or we can get some gym memberships or whatnot. So they get back to the scenario about him getting a real job, and she was really putting the deadlines on him, and he said it really kind of hurts, but she's like, yeah, I'm serious because I got to get serious with you. Basically, you're not going to take this serious. So I get where she's going, but he doesn't feel good about how she's presenting this kind of ultimatum thing about him getting a job. So he's like, well, I got some news. I have an interview. It's a state facilities assistant job, and it's really serious. And she's like, well, don't screw this up because you got 2 weeks. And if you don't have this job in 2 weeks, I'm done. I'm going back if you don't have a job. And he's like, well, 2 weeks, the process and everything may not even be finished in 2 weeks. And he was like, well, it might be about a month. She was like, okay, a month. Whatever the case, I'm out of here. So he's saying like, this is crazy. Why is she doing this to me, basically? And she's like, well, basically, I can't be in an unstable relationship. I'm going to be real with you. You have a deadline. Some people need a deadline, so I'm not even mad at the way she's handling this situation. Sean and Leah hangs out with one of their friends. They've been friends together for 3 years, along with Sean. And it looks like they're at the flower shop or something, looking at flowers. And Aaliyah and the friend are talking, and her name's Jackie. And Aaliyah's like, I really want boobs and all this, and because Aaliyah's transitioning, right? And will Sean still want Aaliyah with all this transitioning going on? Is a question that Jackie asks. And it's a question mark for Aaliyah, but Aaliyah knows that they want what they want. It's been, when it comes to their sex life, for them, it's been a process of relearning, because now he goes from being a man to being a woman, but not doing the full process. So I think that's why Sean's still in it, because the body parts are basically still the same, but once those body parts start changing, we know Sean kind of told us he wasn't really going to feel this or dig this, and he doesn't know how he's going to feel, but he said he didn't sign up to be with a woman. So Jackie meets up again with them at the house. Jackie was asking a lot of questions. She was stirring the pot. We have some more pot stirring going on in this episode, but I appreciate people like Jackie, because things need to be called out. I know sometimes when we're in love, we're in la la land, we're not paying full attention to all of the details, and you need somebody to get into those details. It really should be you, but hey, thanking God for Jackie's and Diana, who's coming up next. But anyway, um, Aaliyah told Jackie a bit about the castle house, and it was kind of weird. So when Jackie arrived, she's like, "Well, it's not as bad as I thought the way you said it was gonna be, but it is some weird trinkets in there." Um, I think as soon as they walk in, Aaliyah says, "What is?" It's a dress that from a famous person. I forgot the name of the person. Whatever the case, Aaliyah mispronounces it, and Sean just like says, "No, that's not." He made fun of the pronunciation that Aaliyah did, and then said, "What else are you gonna mispronounce?" And to me, I thought it was a little bit mean to say that. Of course, this person, you're from another country, you've been with this person for 4 years. To me, it's a little mean, a little rude how you kind of made fun of their pronunciation like that. In front of a friend, by the way, too, not just you between you two. So to me, that wasn't cool. Jake says the house is beautiful. She thought it would be a little bit more weird. There was some weird things going on. But she said, she feels Aaliyah, if this is your home now, you should be able to put things in place, get rid of things if you want. But she's a little bit afraid and standoffish because she's trying to figure out who she is still and is in a new place. And I'll say, yeah, you're kind of in a new place, even though it may be a place of fear, because Jackie keeps saying there's still a fear in Aaliyah, which can be understandable because of now transitioning and trying to be this new person, but also being in a new environment where they have to impress this new spouse to be that they've been with for 4 years. It's all a very awkward situation, but I just feel like anyone, not just the fear of having some self-esteem issues, but anyone would kind of tiptoe a bit when they're first coming into a new country, someone's home. I'm not going to just instantly start telling my man where to put things and throw this out and this is messed up. He does need a weird room. He needs a room where all his weird stuff is at. I think he'll be happy there. Just take all the weird stuff out and put it in one room and just call it the weird room. But yeah, Jake's like, you should put your foot down. I would be trying on all these dresses if it was me. So they started asking about the wedding. That's what Jackie says. And Sean is like, honestly, I wish we could live together. Why do we even need a K1? I wish we didn't need this. Why? I wish we didn't have to get married like this. And then the friend was like, well, then why? Jackie's like, why are you doing it? And he was like, well, we tried other ways, and this is like the only way that they'll allow Aaliyah to the country. Also tried to think about me moving to another country, so this was the best way. So Jackie's like, so what do your kids think? He's like, well, my kids don't know. Not that they're against it or anything, but it's just a situation where it's kind of up in the air. We're all kind of not sure how things are going to turn out. And basically, he's afraid to say forever if it doesn't work out. And Aaliyah's feeling some kind of way, saying, is Sean ashamed of me? Is that why things aren't moving forward? And he hasn't told his family and all that. And Jackie was basically just wishing the best for them. And hopefully this thing works out, but it's complicated. And I think we can all kind of agree. But yeah, I'm glad that Jackie put that question out there, because it's like, why are you doing this? And you're doing it, like Jackie said in the episode, out of obligation, because this is the only way. You're not doing it because you really want to marry this person. It can be a stressful issue. It could be resentment involved. So it's not a good look. But to me, I honestly feel like Sean just wants Aaliyah, who he really wants Douglas to be his boy toy. He's, doing all of this to bring this person up here so he can just have somebody to play with in his house at all times. He's too old. He even said he was kind of too old to do certain things. He's tired of trying to go out there and probably scrounge up these men. So he's like, let me just give me a boy toy and they can live up here with me. But my boy toy is now trying to be a girl toy, and I don't really want a girl toy. Finally, I'm going to close with Mark and Mina. So they hop back on the plane to Florida after this whole ordeal with the family, not really accepting Mina, thinking that she wants his money. It's suggesting prenups and all of that. Though the mom tries to bring everyone back together. And I think Mina, complies just to keep everything family friendly, but is not really going along with everything she stated. She just said things for the family. But now they're going to now go to Florida. So they're flying on their way to Florida. And since it was such a rocky start with the family, they're going to hang out, meet one of his friends, just chill out at this point. He said, yo, you're going to like my friend Diana. She actually introduced me to my ex, Jade. So Mina's already feeling weird about the scenario and isn't happy. He's like, well, hey, it's fine, she's my friend. She's not the actual ex, so don't act weird about this. It's okay. But Mina's acting weird. And does she have good reason? So they go to Diana's shop. She has a nice clothing shop there. And they kind of chit chat, and she brings up this BMW. She's like, Diana's like, well, are you gonna buy Mina a BMW just like you did your daughter Jordan and the friend Jade? He's like, well, no, I didn't buy her one. I bought Jordan one, but Jade, I helped her buy one. So she was like, well, it's a Maserati or some other car. You're gonna get something anyway. It jokingly is what Diana says. And Diana keeps joking with him, and he kind of keeps hugging on Diana. So to me, I'm like, it's just a bit inappropriate. Your woman's right there, your baby's running around the store as she's usually running around doing stuff, and you guys aren't watching. But anyway, I'm sure the camera people were watching. Anyway, he keeps hugging on Diana. Thought it was a bit weird and a bit inappropriate. Diana does mention everything went kind of quick with him and Jade. Diana pulled no punches while he was standing there in front of her. But she suggests, you go take the little baby, I think her name is Maria, get her some ice cream, we're going to have some girl talk. So, they continue to talk in the clothing shop, and Diana's like, well, I'm actually shocked that you're here. And I kind of had reservations about him, going from my friend and kind of moving to you so quickly. And he actually said that you reminded him of Jade. I'm like, well, I guess he rebounds really fast. And she also mentioned that he still loved Jade. It's possible because when he first started connecting with Mina, he was still with Jade. I don't know if he was trying to make Jade jealous, but he was saying basically Mina's basically just like Jade. So it's like, hey, I got a replacement for you right quick, and I want you to know you've been replaced. Sometimes we do that when our egos feel in some type of way. Sometimes we do that to try to get the person jealous and get them back. I don't know what his intents were. So Mina's really uncomfortable by this conversation, and she's like, well, why did they break up? And she says, they actually lived here together in Florida. They got a house together, and everything kind of went fast. She also has a son, and well, he's always traveling, flying here and there. One day he left his tablet out, and she saw that he was talking to other women. Oh, that's a really bad sign. So she said something about, well, she didn't want to move to New Hampshire, so she stayed here. He's like, well, it really didn't have anything to do with New Hampshire. It was really that whole tablet thing and the other women thing. That's crazy. I'm like, okay, I see who Mark is. So Mina's like, was this whole situation a mistake? Well, Diana stirred the pot and then she knocked it over. Is Mark taking advantage of the situation with Mina? She says in the beginning they were talking and he was still trying to be with Jade. And Mina's like, okay, is this 5 years of my life wasted? What is this guy really about? And I said to myself, now I know why Mark's marriage ended. He's a goody globetrotter. So he gets the goodies all over the globe. To have a man that's able to get in a plane and go anywhere, I guess one of his benefits and perks is that he can get goodies from all over the world. And since the distances are so far, No one can find out until we have the internet, though, sir. We have the internet. So it was fun to watch the girls put on clothes after all of this messiness. Mina gives us a little fashion show, and Diana is selling those clothes like, girl, you look good in everything, girl. Girl, you know you selling those clothes. When it comes to snakes, I know that Mina called Jordan a snake, but come on, Diana, she's kind of a snake when it comes to calling her friend Mark out. But to me, I think she's a good snake. If that's the thing, Diana's the good snake. So as they leave, Mark comes back, none the wiser. Why is he so foolish? I mean, men, come on. You don't think her friend told her all the tea about you and you're acting like Mr. Good Guy, like, oh, we just broke up because you know all the stuff you did. You didn't think your friend Diana was going to tell everything. Like, was this a setup to me? Because I'm like, why would you bring her here so she can know all of your messiness? This was just weird that he would set something up like this so he can have even further drama. So she brings up the scenario of everything Diana was telling her, and he's laughing, and she's like, this is not funny. He's like, it's funny because it's not true. Yeah, I'm sure he laughs a lot of things off Mr. Goody Globetrotter, Mr. Sugar Daddy. To me, was Mina a replacement? Was she a rebound for Jade? Mina actually reaches out to Jade by text, and she's like, well, can you answer some of these questions for me? And Jade's like, sure, I can meet with you. So she tells Mark, and Mark is surprised, like, that she's going, but he's like, okay. And he watches Maria. So it looks like she's getting an Uber Lyft or something like that to go meet Jade. He's not happy with it. He's like, okay, if you need her to confirm some things, go ahead. I guess he doesn't want to act too upset because he doesn't want to look like, hey, I really did do something wrong. At the end of the day, what's going to happen is Mina says, if there's lies going on, then I'm out of here. I'm leaving. I'm back to Paris. So that's it, guys, for this episode of 90 Day. We had some good things going on. We had some very interesting things going on, especially with this last story. But we're going to talk more fate, love, and trends. What are your thoughts? You guys can always email me at cbiztv@yahoo.com or drop your thoughts in the comments at any time. Again, my email is cbiztv@yahoo.com. Check us out on our other platforms at cbiztvmedia.com. We'll talk again, guys. Talk to you next time. All the best. God bless.